All right, in today's video, I'm gonna give you tips for how to hit more line drives as a slow pitch softball player. All right, so first let's talk about how do you hit a line drive in general. So number one, pretty simple. You've got to get to the center of the softball, right? So your visual focal point should always be in the center of the softball if that's your goal, right? There's two other conditions. Number one, if the pitch is really high, you're gonna have to have a flatter swing to get to it. If you've got more of an uppercut, which I talk about in a lot of my videos, a lot of times tongue in cheek, that baseball swings work in slow pitch, and they do, but they don't work well in high pitches. You can't be coming at this high pitch with an uppercut. You're gonna sky it most of the time. You're gonna have a very small slice of intersection where you can be going up and hit sort of like almost the top half of the ball to get that top spin line drive. It's not gonna work well if that's you. So if you are more of an uppercut person, you've got to lay off this pitch if you want to hit more line drives. Now, if you're a more uppercut person, you can pick this pitch much more often, and with a little bit of uppercut, this is still going to be a line drive over the infield. So if you're a flat swing person, you can always go down to this ball and backspin it. You can go flat to the high pitch and hit a line drive. You have a lot more options with a flatter swing. If you have an uppercut, you really need to make sure that your pitch location is on point and the pitches that you decide to swing at. So if I want to hit more line drives, but you're always swinging at this with an uppercut, you're going to continue to fail at hitting line drives. So pitch selection is number one, and you've got to try to make contact in the center of the ball, and that depends on where you are focusing with your eyes and how locked in you are on that. All right, so first tip for slow pitch players if you want to hit more line drives is you need to stop your hands from dropping, and that's a big part of swing mechanics. The best hitters, whether it's baseball, fast pitch, or slow pitch, when they contact with their front foot and their hips start to go, it winds their body up, and then basically from there, their bat takes a pretty direct path towards the ball. So the knob sort of points towards the ball, and then the barrel is delivered afterward. We don't want to have all this extra movement where our hands go down and then come up, or our hands drop and then move, or our hands go out and then around. Anytime you have extra hand movement, it just makes it very hard to be consistent to hit the center of the softball. So you need to work on your swing mechanics, get a tripod, put your phone on it, get some slow motion video of yourself and see what are my hands doing when I'm about to swing. A lot of times you'll see this sort of C shape where you go down and then you come around. There's a lot of extra movement in most novice players' swings. When you get, okay, I've analyzed that I need to, clean up my hand path, then it comes down to drills. I'm not gonna go into drills in this video. I have some other videos that I'll link to that you can find hitting drills with. But, you can start to make things real simple and sort of like trace your path and boom, right? You can do lots of different things to say, okay, I want to feel my hands grooved into doing the same thing every time going directly to the softball. So if you have a lot of issues hitting line drives, check your swing mechanics on slow motion with a friend or a tripod and see if your hands are dropping. All right, my second tip for slow pitch players who want to hit more line drives is be disciplined with what you swing at. I already mentioned that if you swing at a high pitch with an uppercut swing, you're gonna pop out most of the time. And maybe you're not a person that hits low pitch as well. Maybe you love hitting this pitch. But if you swing at this pitch, and this pitch, and this pitch, and this pitch, you're not gonna hit the ball hard consistently. The best hitters are very disciplined on what they swing at. Know what you hit hard. Number one, that's gonna take trial and error. But think about what pitches do I actually hit well, and then be really honed in on getting that pitch. Now, it's still slow pitch. Like I talk about this all the time. Like I'm here to hit. I'm not here to walk and take a ton of pitches. However, I do take a couple pitches most at bats, and I swing at the best one that I get. I have a pretty big range of stuff I can hit hard. Everyone's different, but you need to say, okay, I'm not swinging at high stuff because I will always pop those out. I've got to be very disciplined at chest high or below, or I love hitting this low pitch and I've got a little bit of uppercut, so that's the only stuff I'm gonna swing at. Anything I see high, I'm taking it. That's okay. Figure out what pitch recognition means to you and be very disciplined with what you swing at. And if you only swing at pitches that are good for you, you're gonna hit a lot more line drives without even changing your swing. All right, my third tip for hitting more line drives as a slow pitch player is to flatten out your swing. And look, it is true that baseball swings are what most players in slow pitch have, and they do fine. It's completely true, and it's fine for 95% of slow pitch players. However, it's less forgiving. So if you have more uppercut, these higher pitches are gonna be tougher for you to get on top of and hit a line drive. So if you wanna be more consistent long-term and you're gonna play this game for a couple decades, start to invest in some practice sessions where you're really focusing on exaggerating being downhill to the ball, and that's gonna start to counteract this, and then you'll end up somewhere in the middle, which is what I've done over the last year. If you watch my videos, I had more of a uppercut baseball swing. It is leveled out significantly. And that is for me coming to practice sessions like this one, and I am thinking about chopping down on it. I don't care to have a super cut swing. I just know that if I exaggerate here, it will balance out this. And that is exactly what's happened. So if you want to hit more line drives, a flat swing is going to allow you to get center of the ball at many more locations vertically on the plate. And so it does make sense long-term for you to do that. So even if that means you're hitting a lot of choppers and ground balls in practice, like I am off the tee right now, that's okay because you're exaggerating and teaching yourself something new. And those ground balls, as you get better at it, will become line drives as your swing plane changes and irons out. Real quick, click the join button below and you'll learn about my channel memberships. If you become a channel member today, you'll get access to hundreds of non-public videos hosted right here on my channel on YouTube. This is the best way for you to support my work here for the global baseball community and get more content to help you with your game. All right, my next tip for hitting more line drives as a slow pitch player is to pick the right bat for you. Now you can hit the ball hard and be successful with an end-loaded bat like this Victus Knox, or a balanced bat like this El Mero from DeMarini. It doesn't matter which bat you choose, it's a personal preference. However, it does matter in finding what's best for you. So for most players that are not super strong and don't have a huge baseball or softball background and are just struggling to make contact, a balanced bat like this one is almost always going to be better. The weight distribution is more in the center of the bat. That's why it's called balanced. And that just means that it's going to be swinging less like a sledgehammer where you feel the weight sort of drag you around the ball and it's harder to control the end of the barrel. Barrel control is what helps you hit the ball hard consistently. So if you're a big, strong person and you've been swinging a bat your whole life, end-loaded bat is going to probably pose no problem whatsoever. But if you're not that person, a balanced bat with more of the weight here, it's going to be a little easier for you to swing consistently. If you have some hand control issues, like you drop the barrel, whatever, this is going to make it a little easier for you to be direct to the ball and hit more line drives. So give it a chance. If you haven't swung a balanced bat, or if you swing 27s and you want to try to swing as 26 or 25, borrow a teammate's bat, hit with it for multiple games in a row. Give yourself a chance to get used to it. Don't just take one swing and ground out and be like, I don't like that bat. That's a way too small of a sample size to say that that's not right for me. I test bats all the time. I have a brand deal. They send me tons of bats. I get used to whatever bat I'm swinging in about 10 swings. It's not the end of the world. I still have my own preferences. I don't prefer a balanced bat, but I can hit bombs with a balanced bat. I can hit line drives all day with a balanced bat. You start to figure it out the more you swing it. So don't just take 2 swings and say, that's not right for me, or I like this one better. I got to hit last game with that bat. That's a silly sample size that's not grounded in reality. I would highly recommend almost everyone try a balanced bat, give it a fair chance, and if you're struggling with hitting the ball hard consistently, it's probably going to be the better choice for you. All right, my next tip for hitting more line drives as a slow pitch player is to iron out your spot in the batter's box. So if you know I'm a better high pitch person and you have more of that flat swing where you can hit that for a line drive, that's great. You can be a little closer up in the box, because that's where the pitch will still be, just starting to come down, and you'll get more high stuff at the top of the box. If you know, hey, I like pitches lower, then all right, you're gonna move a little farther back in the box and let that pitch start to descend a little bit more, and now you can catch it down here. But your positioning in the batter's box does matter. So again, if you're a person that I wanna go bang and hit that pitch at its highest point possible within the strike zone, within my hittable strike zone, and I want to put my flat swing on it and spin it into the gap or over the fence, then move up. If you want to catch it lower and pow, hit that line drive over the infield, then move back a little bit and just tinker. And it's also going to depend on the pitcher. If you have a pitcher that's really good at skying those ones and dropping them in, yeah, you might have to adjust, maybe back a little bit or maybe forward a little bit. Or if you have that pitcher that throws a lot of flat pitches that kind of keep cruising through the zone, you might have to adjust further back as well, depending on, okay, how is this pitcher able to give me a good or bad pitch for my swing? So really think hard about the micro adjustments that you'll take in the batter's box and how they can affect your ability to hit the ball hard. So your shoulders might be part of the reason you don't hit many line drives in slow pitch, and here's what I mean. So if the pitch is coming in and I track it with my shoulders, I tilt and then my bat head dumps and now I go up at the ball. This is something that I was contending with earlier in last season, and I sort of figured it out that I need to, sometimes I take my hat off and I can see the ball a little bit better out of the corner of my eye rather than lifting my shoulders. And B, I just try to keep my chin tucked and keep my shoulders level rather than letting my shoulders track the ball. So if you let your shoulders track the ball, you're a lot of times gonna dip and hit those pop-ups. So think about keeping your chin tucked, keeping your shoulders level, and then trying to get on top of it, even though I got beneath that one. Try to think about staying level and being down through it on those high pitches. But this is a really easy habit to slip into without realizing it, where now you start to go up at everything, and then everything is becoming a pop-up or an easy fly ball, rather than that line drive that you want. And this tip for slow pitch players is a big one. If you want to hit more line drives, have more success as a hitter, you have to practice. Now look, if the experience that you want is that you just want to show up and play with your friends, and that's the only softball that you get, that's completely fine. I have no qualms with that whatsoever. Everyone has a different level of interest and how all in they want to be. If you don't want to practice, fine. However, if you want to complain about your performance, you can't do so while putting in no effort to make it better. So that's just like wishing for it to get better, and wishing doesn't work, right? So if you want to get better and you want to hit more line drives, just get a batting tee, get some cheap balls on Facebook Marketplace, and go hit into a screen or at a public field like this one day a week. Grab a friend, they can sit on the bucket, put balls on the tee, you can gossip. It's honestly, I have great quality time with friends hitting off a tee with a friend. I love it. It's one of my favorite things. It's just like going to the driving range. But you have to have some amount of practice. It doesn't have to be off the tee. It could be batting practice. It could be a local batting cage if you have a slow pitch cage, whatever it is. But don't expect things to get better if you don't want to put any work into it. And again, if you don't want to work at it, that's fine, but you can't both not work at it and also complain about it. So you just have to look yourself in the mirror and decide, how good do I want to be, and what level of practice do I want to put into being good at my sport? And especially if you're going to play for 20 or 30 more years, like I probably will, I want to continue to at least get better, or at least outrun the aging process, right? So if you want to be a contributor, don't expect things to get better just from your game swings, because it's not. You've got to get more swings in practice when you can focus just on your mechanics and just on hitting the center of the softball, which is really tough to do when there's runners on base and there's a score and there's a game on the line. All those things, those factors make it much harder to change your swing, rather than a practice environment that's much more low pressure. All right, and my last tip for hitting more line drives as a slow pitch player is to use a swing aid or a training tool. I've got 4 different ones, and I'll tell you about them. Number 1 is a wood bat. This is a wood softball bat. It's not a baseball bat. This is a 3429. It's got a real thick handle and a real heavy solid maple barrel, obviously. So this thing is going to be more like swinging a sledgehammer. And if I can become better at getting barrel to ball with this, it's going to be much easier with my light composite bat. So if you have hand dropping issues, this is going to very quickly tell you it's going to be much harder to hit the ball consistently hard with a wood bat. The sweet spot's smaller, and it's just harder to wield. So if you struggle with your composite bat getting barrel accuracy, this will make the struggle worse, and it will make it easier to feel where, okay, oh, my hand's dropped and I did this. It's going to exacerbate every problem that you have. So this is a really good tool for exposing swing flaws that when you start to get better at it and you can control this heavier bat, it's going to make a very positive change in your regular swing with your regular bat. All right, number 2, similar effect. This is the Axe Hand-eye Trainer. This is a skinny 1.5 inch diameter bat. This is 33 inch, 30 ounces, so it's still kind of heavy, very thick and durable. But if I can hit line drives with this little guy, I can hit line drives with anything. So that's the premise with this bat. You can hit balls all day with this. This will last, I'm sure, a number of years. It's very thick, and I mean, because it's so skinny and it's pretty heavy, this is, you can tell, like very almost solid metal. I really like this as like the first thing I do off the tee after I get warmed up. I'll just really get locked in with this, and then I'll go to my regular bat or my wood bat. So there's a lot of different ways to use this, but this is a training tool that'll be durable for years to come. And if you're struggling with hitting the ball hard, if you can do it with this, you can do it with anything. The next swing aid is the Aero-swing bat. This thing is really cool. It's really long and whippy, and it has this cattail that gathers air resistance at the end. And for me, this helped me change my swing. So I can see the end of this as it slides through the zone. And because I can see that sort of like tracer path, I can really focus on, okay, I can feel when it dips, because this really exacerbates the dipping and the different movement. And if I can have a consistent swing plane with this, and if it helps me be more hill and see it and feel it, then I can change my swing with a regular bat a little more easily. So I use this to warm up with, and I use this a lot, ironing out and getting rid of a lot of the uppercut in my swing. So I highly recommend this. They make it in this long length. This is their hybrid model. They also make a shorter softball specific model. But either way, I'm a really big fan of the Aero-swing bat. This can be a good long-term tool for warm-ups, bat speed training, and for swing path corrections. And then the other hitting tool that I really like is the Gtee click stick. And this one gives you feedback by this little sliding mechanism. If your hands accelerate early, before they're actually supposed to. So if I swing properly with this bat, my acceleration is going to happen late, and this sliding is going to snap around contact. So it'll look like this. If my hands cast early, you'll see that. Or my hands drop early, you'll see that. So you'll see, I'm exaggerating obviously, but you'll see it slide early and snap early if your hands are doing the wrong thing and accelerating before they're supposed to. This is a great tool for beginners and families. So if mom and dad play slow pitch and daughter and son play baseball and fast pitch, the whole family could use this. If you're all very advanced players, this is not gonna be the right tool for you. This is more of a beginner level tool or a novice level tool. But it's also got a really satisfying crunch to it. Like the snap is really satisfying. So it's fun to train with. And this is something that you'll see at all of my hitting clinics with Mario Foster, just because it's a great thing. Like, hey, we can give you this and you'll get some feedback, especially if there's some big flaws in your swing, and you'll be able to correct it just by saying, okay, how can I organize myself to make that snap happen closer to impact with the softball? All right, thanks for watching. If you have any questions, check out the links in the description below. You'll also find the swing aids, the bats that I showed in this video as well, including some discounts on those. So check out those links in the description. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them. I read and respond to many of the comments left on this channel, and I always appreciate content suggestions. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you here in the next video.